Hi, and welcome to today's episode of Studio 501c3. I'm your host, Kim Jones, Executive Director of the Nonprofit Village, along with my colleague, Gabrielle Nash, who is our Director of Programs and Operations.
Our show features nonprofit organizations and charities that provide a public benefit to the community. Organizations that have a 501c3 status are recognized by the IRS as tax exempt because of their charitable programs. An example is our own organization, the Nonprofit Village. We incubate nonprofit organizations to help them grow. We also offer many charities a shared space for working, networking, and hosting programs or events. The Village helps nonprofits build their capacity by providing training and operational supports, all within our shared space. We're proud to partner with Montgomery Community Media on this program to let you know about some of the tremendous programs and services provided by nonprofits in Montgomery County. MCM is your public resource that provides access to information relevant to our community.
So today, we want you to meet Adrienne Clancy, the founder and artistic director of ClancyWorks Dance Company. This nonprofit uses the arts to develop mutual understanding and advance positive social action in our community. Adrienne, thank you so much for being here with us in Studio 501c3.
Great. Thanks so much for inviting me to be here.
Yeah, this is exciting. So we're anxious to learn more and share with our audience. So let me just start with, I had to write this out. The mission of ClancyWorks is to increase the appetite for dance, expand the relevance of dance, and nurture leadership skills in emerging artists. So talk to us a little bit about what ClancyWorks does specifically, especially when it comes to the relevance of dance. What does that mean, and how do you measure it?
That's a great question. So when I'm explaining our mission, I try to keep it as simple as possible. As you said before, we really try to use dance to advance positive social action. The way we do that is through 4 core programs, through quality performances, through artistic residencies, those are education programs in school or after school, for all ages, K through 12, high school, college, higher ed, as well as senior citizens. We also offer professional development for our teaching artists and our teaching team, as well as educators in the field, so that educators can understand better how they can employ movement practices as another tool to employ their curriculum. So in terms of our relevance, what we try to do is, we try to think about what does a person need, right? In terms of 21st century skills, communication, collaboration, leadership skills. We need to listen more than anything. I think that's what we're hearing all over in our world today. So what we try to do is we try to use dance as a way to help build listening skills, partnering skills, collaboration skills. And then those skills can then, build the next amazing dancer, whether it's Beyonce or the next Jennifer Beals, flash dance for the 2020, the 21st century, as well as building our better citizens and people who are really the next, we're trying to build just individuals who are comfortable in their skin, because we feel that if you can be comfortable in your skin, have respect for yourself and your body, then you could respect somebody else. And if you could respect somebody else and collaborate with them, hear them, partner with them, see them for who they are, then we could build a better world. And we try to use dance as a fun way to open that door.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. And so you guys have been around for almost 2 decades at this point. Are you pleased with the way that you've seen performance arts move over the past 20 years?
It's really, really interesting. It's constantly, it's interesting to see, and this is something that I'm always, something that interests me not only as an artist and as an educator, but also as an organizational leader, to look at the different trends and that are taking place. I'm actually, recently I've been looking and seeing that the county and the way that the county and the state have prescribed funding has actually helped to build our programs. But they have built to build our programs in a way that also supports the community and connects to our mission. So for example, when we first started, we were always connected to education and performing. A lot of the county and the state grants, which are the major organizations from whom we get funding from to allow our programs to be implemented, always had a caveat to make sure that you had a connection to the community. Now that's always been part of our mission. Our interest has always been to connect to the community so that we are relevant, because for me to have a higher than art or an art that doesn't connect to the public doesn't make sense, right? And so it's interesting though, because now there's a little bit of a shift again, and I'm seeing with new arts directors, the state in particular, there's more of a focus towards figuring out ways for individual artists to get funded. So it's kind of interesting now to also see, when I first started, you really couldn't get funded for just an arts project.
Right.
You had to figure out a way to do a quality performance that was connected to the community. Ultimately, it built your audience, which is really interesting for me as an organizational leader, because then actually as starting out 2 decades ago, I didn't have an audience. But by then connecting with the senior members as well as the students, their parents, then our audience started to get to build. So it kind of becomes a system that builds itself.
Okay.
Yes, Kim.
So a quick question. When you're talking about building audience, some of this audience probably has grown with you because you are in schools and you've seen them grow up. Are they following you throughout the years as they move on to middle, high school, college, and then coming back and looking at your local performances as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have a really interesting audience because our population, the specific population that we serve are students and people who would normally not have access to the arts and to dance classes. So oftentimes your traditional model is that you'd have a local dance studio and parents who could pay for dance classes become the audience and they can pay for tickets. We serve students who really can't afford to pay for students. Our interest is to try to find those students who normally don't have that access. And so our after school programs are often serving people who their parents are working 2, 3, 4 jobs. The parents oftentimes can't come to the students' performances. So we're constantly trying to figure out how do we build our audience. And that's actually a challenge that we particularly have for our organization because of the makeup of our organization, how we've chosen to serve a population specifically for that need.
I'm going to stop you right there. We're going to come back to that because we just need to take a quick break.
Sure.
Short break right now. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about that, the audience, partners that you're working with, and how dance can enhance the quality of life in our community.
You're watching Studio 501c3 on Montgomery Community Media. Please stay with us.
Welcome back to Studio 501c3, your window into Montgomery County's premier nonprofit organizations. I'm Kim Jones, Executive Director of Nonprofit Village, along with our Director of Programs and Operations, Gabrielle Nash.
We're talking to Adrienne Clancy, founder and artistic director of ClancyWorks Dance Company. Okay, so let's jump right back in. So finish your thought on the audience that you're working with specifically, and then to elaborate on that, tell us how you sort of craft different performances for the different audiences that you are serving.
Excellent, excellent. If it's okay, maybe I could answer the second question because it'll bring you back to the first part.
Absolutely.
So when we are with the members of my team, the organization, the teaching artists, the performing artists with whom we work, our approach is always to figure out a way that the students are going to get a chance to perform. One of the big things for me, and that's increasing the appetite for dance, is how can you concretize and how can you make concrete this ephemeral dance form, right? Because even for students, right, it's you have these dance steps, and it's like unless you have a constructed dance, it's really hard, right? Like that they could video, they could show their parents, they could show their friends, that they can go back to. Then it's hard for them to like realize what it is that they actually did and to measure their success and to see the growth. So what we do is we try to have a community performance where in all of the different members of the population of the community that we're serving, whether they are K through 12, high school students, middle school students, or seniors, we try to create a little dance with them over the course of a few weeks and then have them come together. So this year, like April 30th, we'll be at, it's the Randolph Road Theater. Some people call it the Bushy Theater, but it's on Randolph Road. It's the original Roundhouse theater that's circular. And then basically the different members that we choreographed with or had a residency with will then come together and show the pieces that they made with us. And that's how we build our audience. Kim was asking too in terms of how do we keep rebuilding it. And that's the thought is to connect to that idea. We're constantly, each year we have to keep rebuilding our audience. What's fun for me is after 20 years, our students actually do then come back, and then 20 years later they become our teaching artists that apply to me.
Which is important for being partners, because you do a lot of partnering with other organizations too, in the community? Other youth organizations, obviously the school system, senior centers, you do a lot of that.
Yeah, so I always say we're a small organization with large goals, and in order to accomplish those, we partner with larger organizations who could accomplish things that we can't. So for example, our after-school programs, we know that those students need to have transportation, they need food, oftentimes meals. So we partner with the Montgomery County Collaboration Council, or else the Montgomery County Department of Recreation, who can offer those tools for the students, you know, those special things that we can't, transportation, meals, extra support with homework, and then we could come in and then support them with dance classes.
Okay. We've only got about a minute left, so time is going very quickly. What's next for ClancyWorks, and how can people engage with you very quickly?
Excellent. So we are always in the community, so if you would want to have us at your school, you can connect with us through our website, you know, ClancyWorks.org. We often partner with people to help them find the funding so that we can help to write grants or find somebody to help support the programming, so that we often are working with programs and community organizations that don't have the funds for dance, so we actually try to collaborate with you to help find that. So we're interested in that. We're on a number of different artist rosters through the county, through the state. We tour a lot. We'll be in New Mexico next month, choreographing on the New Mexico Ballet, as well as connecting with a choreographer from the United Kingdom, so we can have cultural exchanges and bring back that information to our students here in Montgomery County.
Wow, okay. And plans for the future? Very
April 30th, come and see us at Randolph Road, right, 7 o'clock.
In terms of the organization, where
the organization,
going.
if you're interested in being part of our team, we're constantly growing. We're being very strategic with the projects that we're taking on, because as I said, we're small, so we are being very selective. If you are wanting to be part of our team and you're an experienced teaching artist or have that interest to connect, please again contact us. We're always looking for teaching artists, performing artists, administrators, as well as just people who want to help volunteer.
Okay. One last question. I was thinking about what some of the schools are that you're in, or some of the centers that you go to.
Great, excellent. So we are right here in Montgomery County, Loideman Elementary, Middle School, Einstein High School. We're at, not this year, but oftentimes we're at Roberto Clemente, just in terms of this, at Forest Oak Middle School, Montgomery
And do the
Village.
students come to your space, or do you go to them?
That's the best question. So we don't have a dance studio. We go to your site. So we go to the schools, right? And then that's the idea of having a performance or something, so that then the different locations can come out of their location and share their dance in more of a professional theater atmosphere.
Good.
Awesome.
All right. So I think we learned a lot.
Thanks.
All right. So that's all the time we have today. Adrienne, thanks so much for being here. We want to thank our guest, ClancyWorks Dance Company founder and artistic director, Adrienne Clancy. For more information, visit their website at clancyworks.org.
And we hope you'll join us next time for another episode of Studio 501c3, your window into the world of nonprofits in Montgomery County. I'm Gabrielle Nash, Director of Programs and Operations at the Nonprofit Village.
And I'm Kim Jones, Executive Director of the Nonprofit Village. Thanks so much for joining us today in Studio 501c3.